Welcome back. We are in Khan Academy in Algebra 1, and the unit is quadratic functions and equations. We are looking at quadratics in factored form. Intro. So, this tells us to solve for x, write the smaller solution first and the larger solution second. So, on this set of problems, we don't have the equation written in factored form, we have it written in standard form, where the highest degree term is first and the exponents descend. Okay, so we need to factor this if we can, and then solve for x from the factors. Okay, so to factor that into two binomials, we need a term, first term times the first term to give us x squared, so that'll be x. We need to get 80 as the product of these two, and we need the sum of this times x plus this times x to equal 18x. So we need two numbers whose sum is 18 and whose product is 80. So 80 can equal 1 times 80, 2 times 40, 4 times 20, 5 times 16, 8 times 10. And so let's see if any of these add up to 18. Well, think about our sign first of all. We're going to have a positive product and a positive sum. So positive times a positive is positive. Negative times a negative is positive, but a negative plus a negative is not positive, so we need positives. So then we want to add and see if we get to 18 with any of these. 8 times 10 is 80, 8 plus 10 is 18. So now we have it factored. The quadratic has been factored into these two binomials. If either of these factors equals 0, it'll be 0 times a number equals 0. So x equals negative 10 or negative 8. So those are our two choices. Which one's smaller? Negative 10 because it's further to the left on a number line. So negative 10. And the larger is negative 8. Next problem, solve for x. Smaller solution first, larger solution second. So we want two binomials. And this is x squared plus 9x plus 18. That will be x times x. And then we need two numbers whose product is 18 and whose sum is 9. So 18 and 1, 9 and 2, 6 and 3. If we add these, we get 9. So that's the choice we want. And the sum has to be positive and the product has to be positive. So we know we're adding both times. Plus 6 plus 3. To make x plus 6 equal 0, x would have to be negative 6. And to make x plus 3 equal 0, it'd have to be negative 3. Negative 6 is greater than negative 3, so this is our smaller one, negative 6. And negative 3 is our greater or larger x value. Negative 6 for the small, negative 3 for the larger. Next question. We want to factor that. This is a perfect square trinomial, so we're only going to have one result. How do I know that? Well, the first term is squared, the final constant is square, and the middle term is 2 times the square root of the first term times the square root of the second term. That looks like this. So 2 times the square root of x squared times the square root of 36 equals 2 times 6 times x, which is 12x. So that's my middle term. So being a perfect square trinomial means that we have a factor that we square, and it gives us this expression right here. Well, the first term would have to be x. X times x is x squared. The second term would have to be 6, but then is it positive or negative? Well, because the middle term is negative, I'm going to have to add a negative 6x and another negative 6x. So that's equal to 0. We can take the square root of both sides and we get x minus 6. Well, the square root of 0 is 0, because 0 squared is 0. X minus 6 equals 0, so x must equal 6. This one, they tell us that it has two solutions, so it must not be a perfect square trinomial, because this term is not a square term, even though the first term is, so we know it's not a perfect square trinomial that way as well. So we need to factor this into two binomials. X times x is x squared. We need a product of 40 and a sum of negative 14. How do we get a negative sum if we're multiplying and getting a positive? Well, they would have to both be negatives. Negative times a negative is positive. Negative x's minus x's will be negative x's. So I need multiples of 40. So factors of 40. 40 times 1, 20 times 2, 10 times 4, 5 times 8. And so, of these options, which ones add up to 14? Well, not 41, 22, 14. Here's the winner, right there. So we're going to put 4 and 10. Just check to see we're right here. X times x is x squared. Minus 4x minus 10x, that's negative 14x. Negative 4 times negative 10 is 40. Now, this number times that one has to equal 0, so if either of these is 0, that will give us a solution. This one would be x equals 4. That one would be x equals 10. 4 is smaller than 10, so we'll put 4 here and 10 there. 4 and 10, and we are